guys, this is the Retro Flora podcast. I'm Brenda.
And I'm Charmy, and we're just two crazy sisters with an opinion and a channel.
If you like true crime, conspiracies, and supernatural shit, then this is your channel. Welcome, you guys!
I know that Retroween is over, but we still got the spooks for you.
Did you enjoy Retroween, you guys? Because I love Retroween. I love horror, so I definitely love Retroween. So today I got a couple of creepy stories. I kind of went down a rabbit hole because, you know, I drop TikToks and I look for like creepy things to do like TikToks on. And so a lot of these stories I was reading, but they're kind of too long to do TikToks unless I do part 1, 2, 3. And I don't know about y'all, but I'd be getting mad about part 1, 2, 3 TikToks because...
Yeah, I hate trying to search for it.
Yeah, that's what I hate too. Like having to go to your page and click it. So yeah, I try to avoid those.
They should really, if they don't have it, they should really like have like a button like or like something to press that goes to like the next video.
Yeah. Because sometimes some TikToks do, but some TikToks don't. So it's kind of annoying when they don't. But anyway, let's hop into it. Before we hop into it, do you have anything to say? Like, how's your week? That's good.
I'm good.
My week was a lot. It was, I was drained. I was tired this week, but yeah. So I found these stories on this website called Scary for Kids, but I read some of these stories and these are not kid stories. Unless you like mean like under 18, but
under 18?
Right, under 18, but like older than 13, then yeah, okay, I can see them reading these stories, but I can't see no like 11-year-old reading. You know what? 11-year-olds nowadays are wild because my friend's son literally was watching Child's Play and laughing. And
I mean, technically Child's Play is funny.
As a kid, it wasn't. When you saw Chucky as a kid, you weren't like, ha ha ha. You were like,
Actually, I was. But I think it's because I watched it with Jaden's mom, Jalen, who lived down the street from us.
Yes, Jalen.
Yeah, I watched it with him and his mom, and she just made it funny. So it was like, it wasn't scary to me.
Chucky was never scared of you?
No.
Oh, well, these kids aren't scared of Chucky. You're not scared of Ghostface.
I mean, like, when the man, you can like kick him like a ball, you can't really be scared of that.
Yeah, but when the doll is kid size, that means he's your size. So now it's a fair, like, fight.
Kid size? What do you mean?
Like, when it says, when you get toys and it'd be like life size, like...
They're not really life size.
I know, but they're not tiny enough for you to kick. As Chucky for me to kick, yes, but Chucky for like a 4-year-old to kick, no. Like,
I'm just saying, I wasn't afraid of Chucky. I stomp his little.
Whatever. You were scared of some stuff that these kids are not scared of. Like, I know you were scared of it.
I was scared of Tim Curry's It, because Tim Curry is freaking scary. Have you seen this man? He's scary without the makeup on.
Right, but these kids think it's funny. The original, they think it's even funnier than the new one. Yeah, no, these kids are savages, man. They be telling me, like, oh, can I watch Saw? Like, what? Like, I didn't start watching Saw until I was, like, double digits. What?
When did Saw come out?
I don't know. I had to be in... I don't know, because I remember having hermit crabs. So... I had to be in middle school.
Yeah, I don't know how old I was when I first watched Saw, but I don't know. Like, I can watch it now and be like, ha.
I could watch it now, but I'm still not like, haha. So, okay, so it says Saw came out in 2004, so I definitely was in middle school. So I just aged myself, but yeah.
8 years old?
What the heck you doing watching Saw?
I don't think I watched it. It came out.
I don't know if I watched it when it came out either. But yeah, it came out when I was.
Probably watched it a year after that.
Okay, you're 9. Wow.
But it's funny because like the first Saw, besides like the traps, like really is a lot of talking, and that wasn't the scary part. I
think any movie that's psychologically scary freaks me out the most. When I have to sit there and think like, oh my god, this person is insane. Like the amount of things they're doing is insane. Like him laying on the ground and actually being inside the game, like freaks me out.
Yeah, but then when you find out like they injected him, that made him like his heart rate slow and like so that he could just lay there. It's not like he just laid there without any help. He laid there and after they gave him like a drug.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the meticulous thought that went into this trap. That's what creeps me out. Like the fact that he was like, all right, I'm going to be in there. We need some type of thing to lower my heart rate so I could be first hand in there. It was creepy.
I just felt like he had too much time on his hands.
Well, he's dying. So when you're dying, you actually don't have too much time on your hands, but you know what I mean.
Enough time to be making them traps, yeah.
Well, yeah. You ain't got nothing to lose. You're about to die. But like Charmy likes to say, with further ado.
You know what? Let's get into this.
So the first story I have for you is called The Bay Window. One cold winter night, 16-year-old named Brittany Snow. No, they didn't just put Brittany Snow in this story.
Can she sue for that?
I don't know. I mean,
can you really full name?
I know, but somebody else in this world could also be named Brittany Snow. Is she gonna get sued for being named that?
I don't know.
What if she was older?
As long as she doesn't try marketing on it, I guess.
Was home alone watching TV. Her parents had gone out to a dinner party at her friend's house. At their friend's house. That would be wild if they went to a dinner party at her friend's house without her.
Okay, so Brittany Snow was home alone watching TV when her parents were her friends.
This is not starting out scary, but trust me, it's creepy. It had been snowing heavily all afternoon, but Brittany felt nice and snug as she sat on the sofa in the lounge tucked under her warm, fuzzy blanket. By midnight, Brittany's parents were still not home and she began to feel uneasy. She didn't want to call them in case they thought that she couldn't take care of herself. The television was in the corner of the room right next to the big bay window. And if you don't know what a bay window is, we'll just put a picture of it for you, but it's pretty much this big window that's kind of pushed outward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She was watching one of her favorite movies, a horror film named Prom Night. Why did they do this? Brittany Snow is in the movie Prom Night.
I feel like they're being too meta with it. Like they're bringing in outside forces that don't need to be there.
When she suddenly, out of the corner of her eye, noticed something moving in the bay window. Through the darkness and falling snow, she could make out a figure of a man walking towards the window. As he got closer, she was able to make out his face, and it filled her with horror. The man's face was hideously scarred, his eyes were wild and crazy, and he seemed to be grinning maliciously at her. Frightened, Brittany pulled the fuzzy blanket over her head and tried to hide. She hardly dared to move. I mean, if Brittany was a kid, I can understand her pulling the fuzzy blanket, because as a kid, once you're under the blanket, you cannot be harmed. But as a teenager, I would have been like, oh, hell no.
What the hell is that blanket gonna do?
I would have went to the kitchen and got a knife, a baseball bat, or something.
He already sees you. That blanket isn't gonna do anything.
This is a side note, but I read that if you ever use a baseball bat to hit an intruder, you should put a sock at the end of it in case they try to grab it. They'll grab the sock off of the bat, and then you can just continue to beat them. But just a little tip in case you do decide to use a baseball bat to defend yourself. By the way, I said defending yourself, so that means someone's trying to harm you. Do not go around hitting people with baseball bats, y'all. That is crazy.
The more you know.
Slowly, she pulled the blanket aside just enough to peer out with one eye. The man was still there. Obviously, Brittany, because I don't know what you thought he was going to... she put a blanket up. I'm leaving. I can't get to her. He was just standing there, staring directly at her as the snow fell behind him. Then he reached into his coat and pulled something out. It was a long knife. Terrified, Brittany pulled the blanket back over her head and hoped that the man would think she was a pile of blankets sitting on the sofa.
Here he saw you.
I'm not sure what Brittany's thought process was right here. She managed to move her hand slowly over to her pocket and took out her mobile phone. Pressing the buttons in a panic, she dialed 911 and held her breath as she waited for an answer. When the operator asked, "What is your emergency?" Brittany put the phone close to her face and whispered, "There's a man outside my window. He's got a knife. Please come quickly." She sat motionless under the blankets as the minutes ticked by. Eventually, she heard sirens outside and the police began banging on her front door. Brittany pulled off the blanket and rushed to the front door, letting the police officers inside. They said they had seen no trace of anyone outside her house. "He was right there," said Brittany, pointing out the bay window to the snow-covered front lawn. "That's not possible," said the female officers. "There couldn't have been anyone standing out there. The snow is completely undisturbed. If there was someone out there, they would have left footprints." "But he was standing right there, staring straight at me," said Brittany. "I saw him with my own 2 eyes." "You know, your eyes can play tricks on you," said the male officer. "Maybe you were watching too many scary movies." The officer turned to leave. Then all of a sudden, the female officer stopped dead in her tracks. She pulled back the sofa where Brittany had been sitting on. Her jaw dropped and her eyes widened in shock. Brittany and the male police officer gasped. On the carpet behind the sofa, there was a trail of wet footprints and a discarded knife. "You weren't looking at the man outside the window," said the female officer. "You were looking at his reflection. He was standing right behind you all along."
Damn.
Right. That's scary.
But what was it reflecting on?
The bay window.
Yeah, but that's... I don't know. I feel like you would also see your reflection, wouldn't you? Because he's right behind you. You wouldn't see you.
Girl, I guess she wasn't looking at her. She's too busy being under the fuzzy blanket trying to pretend to be clothes on the sofa.
I really wondered what he was thinking. Like, this stupid girl don't know I'm standing right behind her.
I know. Also, he could have stabbed her before 911 came.
Yeah.
I guess that wasn't what his point was. Like, maybe it was to scare the living hell out of her. I'm trying to figure out when he had the opportunity. I mean, I guess he could have crawled behind the couch without her seeing it.
Yeah.
Because there's no, unless he was there before her parents left, before she even sat there, which would even be more creepy because that means that this person had time to just sit there and chill and wait. They were patient. And that scares me the most. Patient killers. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember watching this episode. I don't know what it was. I can't remember if it was an episode of CSI or Criminal Minds, but it was about like this guy and he would kill people and he would make little doll houses or like little dioramas. CSI. Yeah, and like how he killed them, like they would be dead in the house and like
the same way he was in the diorama.
Mm-hmm. It was so creepy. Like every detail was like exact to like the books on their bookshelves. Like that is crazy to me. If you would have wrote every little word from their books in there, I would have literally dropped it.
No, that would be that's too crazy. There's crazy and then there's too crazy.
All right, so let's hop into our next story. Okay, this one's called Evil Grin, and this picture, which I'm sure Charmy will put up on the screen, is terrifying.
Yeah.
When I was 12 years old, I had a best friend named Brenda. No! What?
Brenda!
I like paraphrased through this story, so I didn't really like put the character names together, but great. Now we're reading this at night. The main character, not the main character, but the main character's best friend's name is Brenda, and I'm kind of scared. It's like scary movie all over. Brenda's always dying in those.
But she always came back.
I know, it was so weird. After school, we always went to her house to hang out. She lives in a big house on the edge of town. Well, that's definitely not me. One day, Brenda didn't show up for school. She was absent for the next few days, and I began wondering if there was something wrong with her. After she had missed a whole week of school, I decided to pay her a visit. I cycled all the way across town and arrived at her house just as it was getting dark outside. You were a dedicated friend, because I would have waited till the next day. When I rang the doorbell, I got a shock when the door opened almost immediately. Brenda's mother was standing in the doorway, but there was something strange about her. Her eyes seemed darker than usual and her hair was hanging loose around her shoulders. I noticed that she was wearing a bathrobe. The most unsettling thing was the way she was grinning at me. First of all, side note, I hate any type of scary movie where they're grinning at you. Like, smile, no. You smiling at me makes it 25 million times worse. Like, why are you smiling? You creepy sick.
That's why people hate clowns.
Yeah. She didn't say a word. She just stood there staring at me with this evil smile playing across her lips. Is Brenda here? I asked nervously. She beckoned me to come in, and before I could say anything, she had slipped back into the darkened house. There's no way I would have went in.
I know, I'm not going inside there.
Like, at all. As I stepped inside, my eyes strained to see in the darkness, but I wasn't sure where she had gone. Just then I heard a strange humming sound and followed it into the kitchen. Okay, well, you know what? They are also 12, so I will let it slide because there's
even
no way.
12, she can get slapped for that stupidity.
I found her there standing at the kitchen sink with her back towards me. The moment I entered the kitchen, she stopped humming and there was an eerie silence. I took a seat at the kitchen table and waited. She seemed to be taking forever. I spent the next 5 minutes sitting there wondering what was going on. Then I realized something very odd. The whole time I was sitting there, she hadn't moved a muscle. Her back was still towards me and I couldn't see her face. Her hands hung limp by her sides and her head was tilted slightly. Something was very wrong. Yeah, you know what else is very wrong? The fact that you just sat there for 5 minutes in eerie silence. I stood up nervously and approached her. She remained completely still. Ever so slowly, I moved around and tried to get a look at her face to see if she was all right. The sight still haunts me to this very day. Her eyes were wide open and she still had that evil grin on her face. I was so freaked out that I couldn't bear to stay in the kitchen a moment longer. Without saying a word, I backed out of the room and made my way towards the door. I jumped on my bike and began cycling as fast as I could down the long, winding driveway and all the way across town. I didn't stop until I reached the safety of my home. It wasn't until a few days later that I found out why my friend Brenda was absent from school. My parents told me that there had been a tragic death in Brenda's family. What? I asked. Who died? My parents broke the sad news to me and it made my hair stand on end, and I was crying from fright. Brenda's mom had died suddenly, and the night I called over to her house, Brenda had been at her grandparents' attending the funeral. I'm scared. Years later, when I was 16, I made a little extra money by working as a babysitter on weekends. One evening, a friend of mine called me and said she knew a family who desperately needed a babysitter. She was busy and wanted to know if I was interested in babysitting for them instead. She told me the parents were very nice, the pay was good, and their 3-year-old daughter was polite and well behaved. I wasn't doing anything important, so I told her I would be glad to take the job. That evening, I went to the family's house and I met the mother. Her name was Ruth, and she was getting ready to go out for the night with friends. She mentioned her husband was out of town on business and gave me some numbers to call if I needed to get in touch with her. That night
sound like a totally different story.
I was thinking that. I was like, this just went like totally left. Like, we're just gonna ignore the fact that Brenda's dead mom was in the kitchen with you.
Yeah.
Like,
girl, that scared the shit out of me.
Sorry.
Y'all didn't hear it, but she hit something and it made this creepy sound. And I was about to jump out this room.
It's because the back of my foot was itching, so I was like using the chair to scratch it.
So this hell, so like, get the hell out. Like, hell no.
The night went very easily. I made dinner for the little girl, gave her a bubble bath, and then got her dressed for bed. It was around midnight when I heard the front door open and footsteps coming down the hallway. I thought it was strange because I hadn't even heard a car pull up. Oh, hell no. Bye, little girl. I'm leaving. Turning around, I was relieved to see Ruth making her way into the living room where I was watching TV. She never said a word to me. As she walked past me, I was surprised by how different she looked. Something about her eyes had changed and she was grinning from ear to ear. I felt a cold chill run down my spine. I knew that evil grin. I had seen it before, many years ago. Ruth sat at the dining room table with her back turned towards me. Her hands hung limp by her sides. Her head was cocked to the left. She was humming to herself. Oh my god. Girl, just leave. Yeah. Okay, she's already home with
effing up kids. Run out.
Ruth, I asked nervously. Ruth, are you alright? I'm surprised she's letting her call her by her first name.
Like, not Mrs. Ruth.
I know. No answer. Ruth, you're not alive anymore, are you? Silence. With shaking hands, I quickly gathered my things and backed out of the door. When I got to the hallway, I opened the front door and looked outside. There was no car in the driveway. All of a sudden, the eerie silence was broken by the sound of the phone ringing. Oh no. I would have been like, I'm sorry, I'm not answering this. I'm leaving.
Is she psychic or some shit?
I don't know. I didn't want to answer it, but I was afraid of what I might hear. For a moment, my hand seemed to hover over the phone. Then I lifted the receiver and put it to my ear. I already knew who it was. It was the police calling to tell me that Ruth had been involved in a car accident an hour ago. She had been killed on impact. Tears were streaming down my face as I ran upstairs, grabbed Ruth's daughter from her bed, and bundled her up in a blanket. As I came back downstairs, I passed by the door to the living room. I could see Ruth sitting at the table with her back to me. Without pausing for a second, I ran out the door. I ran out into the night carrying a little girl in my arms.
I'm just gonna say that the main character is psychic, or she's a medium, and she just sees dead people.
These comments are wild. Well, that was different than what I thought it would be. And this person puts grins. Yeah, that...
I mean, it could be scarier.
I'm just imagining the grin. That's what I'm imagining.
Scary.
Like, that, just the fact that she's grinning is creepy. And from ear to ear, bro, like...
Your little Grinch smile.
I'm thinking about Smile, but I'm also thinking about Truth or Dare. And,
oh my god, my dad hates that.
Yeah, I don't like them smiles either. I'm telling you, smiling is creepy to me. Like, why are you smiling?
Because
you're dead
and in heaven.
No, you're not in heaven.
We don't know what they're...
You're sitting at the kitchen table or whatever, just humming. Okay, this story is called Twist Ending. There was a famous author named David who had written quite a few best-selling horror novels. All of the literary critics praised his talents for his plots and surprise endings. He received large amounts of fan mail every day, and some budding authors even sent him manuscripts in hopes that he would help them get their work published. While David took pleasure in responding to letters from his fans, he took even more pleasure in stealing ideas of amateur writers. Oh, great. What's his name? Another Thomas Edison? If he came across a manuscript with a great idea for a scary story, he would use it in one of his own books and deny the author any credit. Then, in order to hide his theft,
he killed him.
No.
Oh.
He pulled some strings with his friends in the publishing industry to make sure that the original author never got anything published in the future. That is shady.
So this guy sucks, and we don't care what happens to him.
Pretty much. One day, David received a new manuscript in the mail. It was bound in a beautiful hardcover book. He read the first chapter and felt like he knew how the story would end. As he continued reading, he became more and more certain that he could guess the twisted ending. It was growing late, but he wanted to finish reading the manuscript to see whether or not he was right. When David came to the final chapter, he realized that the last few pages of the book were stuck together. Anxious to read further, he pulled the pages apart. He felt increasingly tired, but he kept reading. Finally, he came to the end of the book. It was exactly the twist ending he had anticipated. The husband hung himself just as the wife was committing suicide in the next room. David made a mental note to steal the idea and use in his next story. He made a mental note to steal the idea, huh?
Does he at least change the names of the characters?
I would hope so. Just then he noticed the words after the end. There was a little handwritten comment from the author. It read, "I already know that you are planning to steal the ideas in this story. I know because you did the exact same thing to me last time I sent you a manuscript. You published it under your name and didn't give me any credit. You ripped me off and blacklisted me in the industry. No one will accept my novels anymore, and I will never be able to publish anything I write. You have ruined my life, and now I'm going to have my revenge. You had to pull apart the back pages in order to read this, didn't you? Well, those pages contained a poison, arsenic to be precise. Are you feeling tired? That's normal. It's one of the symptoms of arsenic poisoning. Soon your heartbeat will get slower and slower until it eventually stops permanently. Don't bother trying to call an ambulance. You will be dead before they arrive. You already have been exposed too long. Goodbye, David. Some twist endings can be very hard to predict."
That was just some Saw shit right there.
That was
like, you, like, I want to play a game.
literally like, David, you sick son of a bitch. We got you. Well, David, I can't say that I'm sad because you are the Thomas Edison of
literary world.
Yeah, and I can't feel any bad for you. But that definitely was not where I thought the story was
I thought like every time he read, it'd be more like to his life and like something like that.
Oh my God, wait, there was something I was reading where somebody was reading the story and everything that was happening in his story started happening in real life, and they wanted to stop, but they wanted to know what was gonna happen. But I don't know what that was. If it was a story I read, if it was a show I watched, I don't remember.
I have no idea.
Yeah, that's weird. Well, that one was creepy.
This wasn't a scary story. It was a revenge story.
This was the only thing that was creepy was like the fact that this person knew that he was gonna do that and like literally was patient and I don't know. The story was wild. I hope that everyone learned a lesson. Okay, so this next one is called Man in the Elevator. There was a 19-year-old Korean girl named Haruko who was attending university in a large city. One night she had to stay late in the library to finish a project, and it was almost dark by the time she returned home. Haruko lived on the 14th floor of an old apartment building. She stood in the entrance and pressed the button to call the elevator. She always hated coming home alone so late in the evening. It didn't feel safe. When the elevator came, she stepped inside and pushed the button for her floor. Just as the doors were about to close, a handsome man came running up. The man was out of breath and put out his hand to stop the door closing. Then he stepped into the elevator and stood beside her. "You live on the 14th floor?" he asked, seeing the girl's button lit up. "Yes," replied Haruko. "Oh," the man said, smiling, "I live on the 13th. The elevator ascended and he pressed the 13th floor. He pressed the button for the 13th. You know what? I heard, this is a side note, but there's superstition that a lot of places would not have the 13th floor due to like spooky.
Miss Zarvez.
No, she was on the 12th floor.
But it should have been
Wayside
13.
School. I know. Through the windows in the elevator door, Haruko watched the floors go by as they both stood in silence. She stole a few glances at the man. He was certainly handsome. She wondered if he would be interested in dating her. That was fast.
I know, right?
She's like, I already see us with kids and a house and...
Well, she didn't say all that.
When he happened to look at her, she batted her eyelids and smiled sweetly at him. Just then, the elevator stopped at the 13th floor. The door opened and the man stepped out. "See you later," he replied. "Yes, see you," replied Haruko. As the doors of the elevator were closing behind him, the man suddenly turned around, pulled a sharp knife out of his jacket, and said in a menacing voice, "Upstairs." Then he Then, laughing like a maniac, he ran towards the staircase.
I mean, in that situation, all he could do is like pop. You know how elevators have that door at the top? Just pop up and hide in there as he's like running up the staircase.
Girl, I would have stopped that elevator so fast. But stopped the elevator and went downstairs. But first of all, he had the opportunity to kill her in the elevator.
Elevators have cameras.
Okay, and
honestly, I don't think he really cares.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
But like, I think he's trying to raise. He's like making her scared. As the time ticks by and she's going up to her floor, he's gonna run up the stairs to get her. You know,
it's like about the chase.
Yeah, and so I would have like hid in the top of the elevator.
I would have been like, yeah, you about to see me upstairs with my 22 pistol.
You don't have enough time for that.
The girl was terrified, but before she could do anything, the door shut and the elevator began to ascend. She began to panic. Desperately, she hammered the buttons with her fist, trying to stop the elevator, but it was no use. When it reached the 14th floor and the doors opened, the man with the knife was it's not funny. The man with the knife was already standing there waiting for her.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
In Korea, people say this is a true story. The girl was found dead, stabbed to death in the elevator. People say the worst part was not her death itself, but rather the sheer horror she experienced in between those two floors when she was trapped in the elevator and knew she was going to die. They claim this is the reason why all elevators now have a stop button.
Yeah, because if she had that button like they have in Grey's Anatomy, like when they pull that red button and it stops the elevator, if she had that would have been very helpful.
I know. That sucks. I'm really mad that he did that to her. Cause like, bro. Why?
That's like so scary, and that's like probably like out of all the stories, besides I guess like the bay window, this one's actually most realistic because I don't think we have stop buttons in America.
Yeah, we do on
we
elevators.
Do? I've never seen it. Or if they have alarm buttons, they don't have alarm buttons. You couldn't push that.
Well, if they don't have stop buttons right now, I'm thinking they don't have alarm buttons either.
Oh.
But literally, it's funny because I just watched the episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and there's this episode where Carlton and Jazz are arguing over who's Will's best man, and they both keep pausing the elevator so it won't go up until the point where it breaks, so they're just stuck.
Wait, what other use would that be for though? Besides someone trying to kill you. What else would you pause the elevator for? Like Grey's Anatomy, you just pause to yell at each other.
Yeah, I don't.
Or when they need to cry, but they could have just done that in the bathroom.
I don't know. I guess so much chasing you is the only reason.
And you press pause, hit the alarm, like there's a person on the 14th floor trying to kill me.
Right. Okay, this one's called Videotape.
The Ring.
It's funny you say that because it literally says right here that The Ring based their movie off this urban legend.
How do you say that when it came out to 2015?
No, that's when the story was posted on this website.
Okay.
Yeah.
To say like, how you gonna say that? The Ring came out way before that.
Like even the Bay Window story that we read, I read it before a long time ago.
Yeah,
so
it's probably like the same story but different variations of it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was definitely different variation because Brittany Snow was watching
Prom
Night in there.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about that part.
Years ago, there was a group of 3 girls who went to high school together. They were all best friends, and one night during a summer holidays, I guess this is in Europe,
yeah,
they decided to have a sleepover. They spent all day planning their sleepover, and because they were all horror fans, they decided they wanted to rent a scary movie. It was late at night when the 3 girls piled into a car and drove to their local video rental store, but it was closed. The girls spent the next half hour driving around town looking for a video store that was still open. Eventually, they found a little shop that was located in a side street and went inside. The girls could not agree on a film to rent, so they went over to the woman behind the counter and asked her if she had any suggestions. The woman told her that she had just the thing for them and disappeared into the back room.
She's evil. The woman is just pure evil.
While they were waiting, one of the girls noticed a videotape lying on the counter. It didn't have a box cover or a label, and it seemed to be very dirty and stained. She was curious to see what it was and reached out to pick it up.
Oh, never mind. She's just stupid. Nothing to do with the girl.
Just then, the woman came rushing out of the back room and slammed her hand down on the tape, pulling it away. With a strange smile on her face, oh heck no, she said, "That's not something you girls should be watching."
It was porn. It's Foodie Tang.
Hey, Foodie Tang is not porn. Okay, I watched that movie. It's funny.
This reminds me of what's Scary Movie 3? He's like, I tried to watch Foodie Tang. I watched that tape instead.
When they asked her what it was, the woman told them not to touch it, and all she said was it was a home movie. Then she handed them an old horror film and told them it would be a much better movie for them to watch. Eventually, the girls agreed to rent the tape that the woman suggested. While she was in the back room searching for the film, one of the girls took the opportunity to swipe the mysterious videotape and stuffed it in her purse.
Why would you leave again? You left, came back to tell us about a movie. You couldn't just got the movie.
I'm just laughing at the part where it says opportunity 2, and they literally spelled it with the number 2.
They're just being proactive.
They literally put TWO. Later that night, when the girls returned home, the girl who stole the videotape took it out of her purse and convinced the other two that they should watch it. They put the tape in the video recorder and pressed play. All of a sudden, the power went out and the room was plunged into darkness. However, the television was still on. With a crackle of static, the video started playing. On the screen, they saw a woman tied to a wooden stake. She was surrounded by angry men and women who were carrying burning torches.
Which?
No, for real. That's literally what this is about to say. They were shouting and spitting on her. Oh, disgusting. And then they set fire to the wood beneath the woman's feet. The woman began laughing
maniacally.
Thank you. And the people yelled out things like "burn the witch" and "this is your punishment for practicing black magic."
But if she practiced white magic, would y'all still be like, burn her?
They probably would have been like, that's still black magic. As the flames arose higher and higher, licking at the woman's face, she screamed out a curse, saying that all who witnessed her death will suffer the same fate in 2 days. There was a screech of static, and the VCR began making skipping sounds before it suddenly cut off. The terrified girls sat in the dark for a long time until the power came back on. They tried to convince each other that it must have been some type of prank.
Honestly, that's a better video than the video in the ring, though.
I don't know. Like, to watch a woman get burned to death is horrible.
But I'm like, what's the reason for the girl killing them in the ring? Just, like, they didn't really see her death.
I don't know. She just wanted to kill people and she needed an excuse. After a while, they agreed that they should return the tape immediately. When they arrived at the location of the video store, it was all gone. All they found was an abandoned building and an empty parking lot. 2 days later, all three of the girls were dead. The first girl was found floating in a swimming pool. Her body was burnt beyond recognition. The charred remains of the second girl were discovered in the middle of a park, and the third girl's body was found in a furnace. When the police were investigating the mysterious deaths, they thought it was a very strange coincidence that all 3 girls had burned to death on the same day. In each case, the police thought it was spontaneous combustion.
Wait, was she in the swimming pool?
That's what I'm thinking. Like,
burst into flames.
Like, did she burst into the flames and then fall in the swimming pool?
Yeah, I don't know.
But the weirdest thing about it was nothing around them had even been singed by the flames. And
that goes with what's it called?
Spontaneous combustion?
Yeah.
Not really, though, because in the case of spontaneous combustion about that lady whose foot they found, I think the chair was a little bit charred.
But her foot wasn't.
Yeah, I know. They found a trash can outside the house of one of the girls. It had been set on fire and was burned out. Everything inside was destroyed except for the videotape, which had been inexplicably left untouched by the flames. Yeah, so moral of the story, you guys, if someone say don't watch that tape, don't do it.
Yeah, even if like it's a creepy ghost girl who disappeared the day after.
I know.
It's like she was baiting them or something.
Either that or she was like, they took that tape. I'm not getting caught up in this. Like, I'm leaving. This one's called The Stair. And like stare as in like looking, not stare as in like climbing upstairs.
Walking upstairs.
Oh yeah, you don't climb upstairs.
I mean, you can. But I think it's more likely you walk upstairs. People understand that better.
I guess the term climbing the stairs, I don't know. Anyway, a girl was sitting on the subway late one night, like on the subway train, like not waiting for the subway, literally in the subway, like in the train subway, you know what I mean? And she noticed that a woman sitting across from her was staring intently at her. The woman was sitting between 2 old men. The girl kept looking away, but the woman wouldn't break eye contact with her. The stare was beginning to freak the girl out. At the next stop, a new passenger got on. It was a tall man in a gray trench coat. He sat down next to the girl. The woman paid no attention to the man in the trench coat. She just kept staring at the girl, who was getting more and more creeped out as time went on. The 2 old men didn't even glance in her direction. She pretended not to notice, but each time she glanced at the strange woman, the stare continued.
Okay, is this an empty train? Because why does this man sit right next to me?
When the train was pulling into the next stop, the man in the trench coat got up to leave. Suddenly, he grabbed the girl's arm tightly as the doors opened. He dragged her off the train. Did you have something to say?
I don't know. I feel like he trying to save her, man.
The subway doors shut and the train pulled off, leaving the girl alone on the platform with the man in the trench coat. She started screaming for help. "Calm down," said the man. "I saved your life. I didn't mean to scare you, but I had to get you off that train. The woman sitting opposite you was dead, and the two men beside her were propping her up."
Oh my god, that is so scary.
So creepy. Oh my god, no. They could at least close that lady's eyes.
I know, to make it look like she's sleeping.
Right. Oh my god, that is so creepy.
That reminds me of Dead Silence. The puppets.
I only watched that movie one time because I don't like those type of puppets.
Yeah.
And I watched that movie as an adult too. As a kid, I was like, I'm never watching this movie. And then one Halloween, I was like, let me just watch this movie. And I watched it. I was like, yep, this is the once watch movie.
I only watch it once and that's it.
Yeah. So yeah, what do you think? That's it. That's all the stories. Which one was the scariest to you?
The scariest?
And then the most realistic scary.
Honestly, the most scariest was the elevator. Because, like, in that situation, like, that's just a guy trying to kill you. I feel like the other stuff could have been prevented, except for, like, the bay window. Like, he just snuck into your house. But, like, don't watch the videotape. The guy saved her off the train. What the fuck happened after that on the other one?
Okay, I'm gonna say the one that scared me.
And the smile one wasn't scary.
The smile one was extremely scary, but for me, because I don't like smiles like that.
But it's like she could see dead people. It wasn't like the dead people were attacking her.
Yeah, I know. It's just
she was psychic.
Can the dead be with the dead? Can you not be here? Like.
Yeah, but I feel like the elevator is the most scary because in that situation, what you gonna do?
Well, I know what I'm gonna do.
I guess prepare to fight.
Yeah, because I carry a knife, so I know what I'm gonna do. It's the battle of the knives, ho. Because we about to duel. Because I'm not playing with you. But yeah, I don't know. This one is creepy to me because I don't know. Those men saw your face. Like, what if they come after you?
I mean, they saw your face, but they didn't see you get off the ride. Stop. The other guy took you off, and they probably think you with that guy, so they probably are less likely.
I don't know why they think you're with that guy.
Because he dragged you off.
I know, but like,
if anything, they probably think you did because he dragged you off and probably killed you.
I don't know, man. This story creeps me out. It's just this, I don't like to be stared at. So just to know that there's someone staring at me, and then to find out that this person was dead the whole time, and those two men are probably the people who killed her is kind of creepy.
What if she just like died of natural causes? They just happen to sit next to her. They're just minding their own business.
I don't know. I think it's the more of them avoiding eye contact with her, like looking away from her as she's kind of noticing like this lady is staring at her. That's kind of creepy. Yeah. I don't know. I don't like any of this.
Honestly, and also subways have like cameras, so the police will find them.
Girl, buy it. How many cases I cover where they have CCT footage and I still can't find the people? It'd be all grainy and everything. Well, you've made it to the end.
You must really like the sounds of our high-pitched voices and quirky commentary.
You might as well like and subscribe to our channel and hit that bell to be notified every time we drop new content. If you want to follow our social medias, they will be linked in the description box below.
Bye!
Peace! Be careful on subways and elevators.
Bye!
Bye!